What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady, and the chef, joined by my co-host this evening.
D Block 21, what's up?
What's going on today?
Well, you know what it is. It's what everybody's talking about, the news of the century, as far as the Knicks go.
I know. And you know what's funny? I remember you saying how you felt like the news was quiet kept. I think not even just about Randle, but injuries in general. I know that's something that's a pet peeve of yours and many other Knicks fans, how the Knicks don't tend to give enough information as far as Tibbs is more of the spokesperson of how players are doing, but it's very limited and very vague as far as how players are doing, the progress that they're making, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so I know that that was something that you were didn't like how it's under wraps when players are injured on the Knicks. But yeah, today, it was rough because we did hear the news about Julius Randle being out for the remainder of the season as he's opting in to having the shoulder surgery. Um, and I know some fans, I think it's 50-50. I see some fans are upset because they feel like he should have opted for the surgery sooner. And then you have some fans who feel like, you know, we praying for you, dog, come back sooner, I think it's tough because at least my standpoint on it is Randall's been in the league for, I don't know, maybe 10 years now, 9, 10 years now. And I think Randall's game has finally started to come together. And he's at his peak in his career. And I think not just his game, but the mental has gotten there as well. And he's found a team where he's found a home. He likes it here. And he found players who he can trust playing with, right? And playing that role of not playing the first or second option, but being able to play that rather second or third option where he's more comfortable playing. And it's just unfortunate to hear for any player as, a former athlete who played ball. And, it's like, I feel like Randall should be saying what Mitch says. Yeah, I was doing everything right. I was eating right, doing what I needed to do. And, I couldn't come in and do what I needed to do. Let me add Ajay. What's
What's
going
up,
on, Ajay?
AJ? Salute.
It's my first time on the two Nick Shigs. I don't
Happy
have
to have you here.
you don't have applaud sound effects. Hey, it's my first time. All right.
What's soon to come?
Right.
All right, how are you guys?
Good, good. We were just talking about, of course, starting off the show with the news of Julius Randle opting out, opting to have the shoulder surgery. He's going to be out for the remainder of the season. And I was just saying how there's some fans who feel like he should have had this surgery sooner. And then there's some fans who are just like, it is what it is. Now, I do know with the news of the surgery, Randall will be reevaluated in 5 months, which will be September's time. Um, I guess for the both of you, your thoughts on the news of Randall being out, and then the follow up to that is, does that drop the Knicks ceiling for this team? Does it drop it for them as a whole, or does it just drop it for the Knicks team offensively, their ceiling?
Well, you're the guest, AJ. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm like really excited about this. And I love your show because guys, I try to catch as many of them as I can live
Right.
so I can and participate and all that good stuff. So man, that's terrible news. And I did not know that. I haven't seen anything all day. Like, and I rushed home just to be here. So yeah, I didn't know that. So he waited this long to. Well, I mean, let's think back. If he had the surgery right after he injured it, would he have been ready to play now?
No.
No.
If the answer is no, then who cares, right?
Right.
Either way, thank you Miami Heat for always injuring our players. Thank you for always effing up our guys. All right. I mean, this is what we get. So whatever. So it wouldn't have made a difference. So it is what it is. Um, but if he did have the surgery, at least we would know that he would be ready come training camp, right? Now we're hoping he's ready. So we're not sure that's what's going to happen. Listen, hopefully, Listen. Hopefully, it all goes well for him. And listen, it's somebody's health. You're not in his skin, so you really can't tell what he was feeling and what the doctors are telling him. Because these guys, they have like a million doctors around him. He's getting all kind of, first, second, third, and 10th opinion. And
Right.
depend. I don't know how he felt. I've never had dislocated shoulder, so I don't know. Um, it was his choice, and you got to respect that. And I wish him well. I know we all wish him well.
Mhm.
Um, and in terms of the team, yes, that dropout ceiling because listen, Julius Randle, he's not a three-time All-Star for nothing.
Yeah.
And might I add, I always say this: he all three times he's been voted into the All-Star, not by fans who don't know nothing, by the coaches and players and people who know the game. They look at this guy, they tell you what this guy is one of the best players in the league.
Yeah.
Okay, so that means something. Um, yes, it definitely affects our team. Um, but listen, we're a greedy team. These guys, they fight. They're a team of fighters. If I'm any other team in the NBA who cross path with this New York Knicks team, I'm not gonna take him lightly. Okay, especially if we get OG Anunoby back. If the only person missing is Julius Randle, so we have Mitchell Robinson, we have OG back. Um, yeah, we're not just gonna be a pushover, man. I still expect us to get, you know, way deep into the playoffs. I don't know, it all depends on matchups. But I do expect us to make some noise in the playoffs, even without Julius Randle.
Yeah.
Of course, like I said, depending on who we play, and we could talk about that too, like what bracket we want to be in, uh,
Right.
Mm.
to be more impactful. So yeah, we can talk about that also. Yeah, but that's definitely I don't know if that's good news or bad news. It could be good news because that means it's gonna be repaired and he's gonna be good to go next season. Um Bad news because we're definitely not gonna have him for the playoffs. So and that definitely affect the team. So
Yeah.
For sure.
yep.
Um, yeah, my thing is, first of all, speedy recovery to you, Julius. You know, I'm like 50-50. At the same, I'm like some of those fans will say, oh, well, why didn't you have the surgery sooner? But like as they reported, he was hoping to rehab it. So and
Mhm.
he knows his body better than anybody. You
Right.
could have doctors and like you said, first, second, third, fourth. I guess he wanted to see if he can play with it, without having a surgery. And he was hoping to. I don't think he gave us false hope. Again, he's an athlete. He wants to compete. So he was just, banking on, well, oh, can I go? And I guess ultimately he just figured, mentally, I know I won't be 100% with the team. And I can't give my all for this team. So, as a player and an athlete, so you figure, okay, let me just do the surgery. Um, yeah, it's going to be a long road to recovery, but at least I will be 100% or, close to 100% when, next season. And these as a team, the Knicks is based off of grind, grit, and just hustling. So this is their motto. This is that's part of their identity. So this just guys got to just continue to step up. They were doing great. They ran into some bumps where they lost three in a row. But he's going to surely be missed because just what he does down low, his scoring, rebound, and just with that physicality. So that's one thing we're gonna miss definitely about him. Um, so I'm like 50-50. I'm like saying, well, why didn't you have the surgery, sooner? Because you could have been closer to, you could have had 2 months into recovery. Now you'd have probably had 3 or 4 months. Now you're back to 5. So I'm 50-50. Like I get what he's saying, where he's at mentally about why he waited because he was hoping to rehab it. And at the same time, like that other, that 50%, like, well, you should have just had it, that way you'd be halfway closer to, recovery. But again, he knows his body better than anybody. And then he trusted the doctors. I'm quite sure they probably say, well, he should have it. But as a person, you wanna, see if you can go. Um, but and as far as where they can go, they just these guys, gonna have to step up. And there's a lot of them that's gonna have to step up. So we're gonna definitely need, more production from Devo and Hart, because outside, Precious would, guarding that perimeter defense. Josh and Devo, they try as much as they try, but again, we're gonna need more production from them. So the ceiling, they can, I always said they only gonna go as far as Randle and Brunson's gonna take them. So now it's like Brunson, and he's a competitor. He's definitely a competitor, but the other guys are definitely going to have to, step up and fill that gap. So, and like Adrian said, depends, where we land and where we fall in the seedings. They're competitors. They can, match up with the best of them, for the most part. So I'm just like just wondering where they will land and where they will fall in the standings.
I want to add something real quick, Diva. So of course it's Julius Randle. You're gonna have a lot of people say, "Oh, he should have done this."
Hmm.
Just because they just no matter what he does is wrong. But
Yeah.
when you look at it, what he did actually made sense. I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. So if it takes 5 months to recover, right?
Hmm.
That means him having a surgery right after the injury would put us when he had the surgery when in January.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in January.
So that would put us. He would have missed the rest of the season anyway.
Anyway.
So he
Hmm.
took a chance on rehabbing it because
Yeah.
at least the way he did it, he might have had a chance to come back. Surgery, he had no
Mhm.
chance of coming back.
Yeah.
But rehabbing, he had a chance to come back. Okay, so I kind of understand what they did, and I appreciate it. It was the you know uh, it was the better thing to do in terms of the team, and hopefully we have him back. But it is what it is, man. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
And that's why I said that's why for him to opt for the surgery, when next season at least he can be at 100% and give
Mm.
his all, to the team. For him to go out there and play or think he can play, with that shoulder like that, he would have been more of a liability than an asset. So kudos to him. He knows his body better than anybody, he did what was best for him and the team. Really,
Yeah. Yep.
he also did what was best for the team because he know he can't give you 100%.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, and so, kudos to him and again, speedy recovery to him.
Yeah. I agree. I think that Randall choosing to have the surgery now actually plays into the Knicks for next season, the 2024-2025 season, as an advantage because we know when he comes back, he's not going to necessarily be at 100%, just like he came back at the start of this season from the ankle surgery. It took him a little while to find his rhythm just because you're kind of tiptoeing. Once you get into real live game situations, it's a different ball game than when you're just practicing or still in that rehab phase, transitioning into practicing. So I think that'll be an advantage for the Knicks. But I think the other question I want to know is with Randall having his surgery, and Randall's not known to be an injury prone player. It's just so happened the circumstances of games, like with the playoffs and Bam last year, and then this year with Jaime, injuring him. Does that affect Randall, um, his contract? He's due for money with the Knicks. He's going to be due for a high payday. And I think Randall is very much worth it. But does that affect the Knicks on what they're going to give Randall? I don't think the Knicks are necessarily get rid of him. And if they do, it's to create cap space. But does that affect this injury affect them moving forward with keeping Randall? And I guess the same thing for OG Ananobi, which I did read that OG, he has a 19.9 million player option for the 2024-2025 season. He's expected to decline that to become a restricted free agent, OG Ananobi. But he said he is willing to sign a new contract for less money with New York. But I think we can add OG in the equation too. Does that affect what the Knicks giving them these guys back and the higher payday, Randall especially moving forward for the next season? We can start with
Well, me,
oh,
I don't. To me, I don't think so because they know what the value Randall brings to the team. Same thing with now. I'm not too sure, but for Randall, they know the value of what he brings to the team. A healthy Randall, anyway. Um, had it not been for that injury, we the Knicks would be up there. Quite frankly, they would be possibly the second seed. I believe that. So they know the value of him and what he can bring to this team, and just the impact that he makes when he's on the floor. But the front office is that they're finicky. Um, I hope they do sign him and give him that bag. Same thing with OG. I just because we really haven't seen OG like really like what the impact. We saw him in that little spurt with when they won when they went what was that 15-2 or something like that. So we saw what he can do healthy. So I'm just hoping that going forward that they both can remain a Nick.
yeah,
Well, and I'm, I don't think that will. I don't think that affects their value. Those kind of injuries, especially not Randall. I mean, Randall, it's not. It's not an injury. Like he got hurt.
Yeah.
In a game. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he always had shoulder problems or anything like that. Like he just got hurt, and literally throughout his career, he's been extremely healthy,
yeah,
except for those freak accidents where he broke his leg, sprained his ankle and stuff like that. I mean, we know Julius Randle. He's like a cyborg out there. He's like the Terminator out there. You know, so I don't think that'll affect anything at all. But having said that, he's due for a big payday, but I don't think it's going to be a payday. I don't think it's going to be some. Is his what is he eligible for? Do you know the amount of money? Because
I
he's
think he,
done
I think it's 245 if I'm not
240,
mistaken,
245.
somewhere in that realm. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that affects him at all. And and I'm sure with the surgery, the decision, all that happened with the team being part of the equation. He consults with the team. He talks to them every day, let them know what the plan is, and everybody. I'm sure they're all on the same page. And I don't think that's going to affect his payday at all. Like you know, if you make all NBA, you know what that means? It means you're one of the top 15 players in the league. You know
right.
what I'm saying? Like a little dislocated shoulder, man. That's not gonna make a difference. So yeah, that doesn't change anything in my opinion. Yeah, maybe in negotiation, the front office probably be like, well, you hurt your shoulder, shave off like $10 million, but I think his salary's set. Whatever. They'll try to negotiate something with him or but I think he's just gonna get his money and it's gonna be worth it. So yeah.
Right now, if the playoffs started today, the Knicks is currently sitting at fifth. So we knew Miami for the longest now. They've been right on the Knicks' heels. So because the Knicks lost that last one, it bumped them down to fifth. So the Knicks are at 44 and 31. They do play Sacramento tonight at home. Orlando sitting at fourth at 45 and 31. And they're a game behind Cleveland, who's sitting at third at 46 and 31, still battling out without Donovan Mitchell, who hasn't been the same since like All-Star break. And then you have Miami, who's actually creeping up because they were in seventh for the longest, and now they're in sixth at 42 and 33. But if the playoffs started today, the Knicks would essentially be playing Orlando. Now, for a first round game, how confident are you that the Knicks can move? We know the Knicks can get past Cleveland, but how confident are you that this team could get past Orlando now that we know that Randall is not going to be here for the playoffs the remainder of the season? And you're still waiting as OG just got cleared for contact. So we're not sure when OG is going to be back just yet. And then let's not forget that Mitch is still in limbo too. So how confident are you both with the Knicks getting past the first round and Brunson getting that help from the supporting cast to move past. And not so much, I really pray that it's not a nail biter series. I hope the Knicks, the first round, can, how they did with Cleveland, and get out smoothly. So this way they can hopefully get a little rest and prepare for the second round. But are you confident with this roster that's with Jalen Brunson that these guys can get? I know, Ajay, you kind of alluded to it earlier, that this group of guys can get past this first round and even to the second round, but we'll focus on the first round for now.
Let me go first.
Yeah.
All right. So I wouldn't use the word confident, but yes, as presently constituted, without Julius Randle, we can beat the Orlando Magic. If we have OG Ananobi, and if we have, I mean, the thing is, the what I would worry about is the best player is Paolo Banchero, and obviously he would be the matchup for Julius Randle, right?
Hmm.
Just you're just gonna have to rely on OG and on Precious Achua to slow him down. And I both of those guys can play defense. Both those guys are pretty formidable defenders.
Hmm.
OG and Precious when Precious is on his game. Okay, and on offense, the key, and I know this is gonna work out. It doesn't seem like it's working out right now, but Boyan Bogdanovic is gonna be a difference maker. In the playoffs, we need his scoring off the bench.
Yep.
We really do. Okay, I mean he plays 3 or 4, right? And if you so when if we play Orlando, right? Let's say we okay, this is the matchup. That's not where I want to be. We'll talk about what bracket I want later. But if we end up playing Orlando, you got to keep Bankero busy on defense, right? Because if he doesn't have to work hard on defense, he's just going to score 40, 45, 50 points because all his energy is like towards scoring the basketball. But if you have, Precious banging him down low, if you give him something to do, you tire him out on, if you have Bogdanovich, scoring. And Bogdanovich, as we can see while he's with the Knicks, he doesn't just shoot threes. He drives in, he's got that little mid-range that he's pretty good at
Hmm.
also. If you counter him with that kind of stuff, I think we have a pretty good chance of beating them. Okay. Um, we have our two big guys up front, Mitch and Isaiah Hartenstein. If we got those guys, we match up okay. We not okay, but just pretty well against the Orlando Magic. Okay. I mean, we have a guy that they can't do anything with, Jalen Brunson. They can't stop him, and DiVincenzo. I'm not glad that DiVincenzo is on a cold streak right now, but I'm okay with it because the hot streak is gonna come just in time for the
Hmm.
playoffs. Okay. Um. So I'm pretty sure we could beat Orlando Magic. Of course, we would have a better shot at it if we had Julius Randle there, But if we don't, I think we could get past them.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, yeah, I agree too. We get Mitch back and OG. Yeah, well, you said confident, but I am confident that they will get out that first round again because like the matchup, like you said, just put a, you can put a body on, Baron Carroll, it forces him to take those tough shots, and he's big, this guy's like 250, and I mean, and he's solid, so you have to put a body on him and someone like Precious and an OG that can match him, pound for pound, so take him out of his game and the rhythm, and it's going to be hard because he's so big and he's strong, he's athletic. So for that reason, you definitely want to have that matchup that can compete with him, and just having Mitch there, like I said, what he does, offensively and defensively. Um, we the Knicks can, get out that first round if they were to, fall in with the Magic, although they do have the tiebreaker. But okay, just overall the matchup is great, and and it favors the Knicks. It definitely, if Mitch, and right now I think he's day to day with his ankle, but hopefully he'll definitely get some rest with that, and just OG, like he's been cleared for contact. So if you could just get those guys back, I think it favors the Knicks. So I am confident that they could get out that first round.
I want to throw something else too, right? Don't be surprised if we play Orlando if Jericho Sims see a lot of minutes because
Mm,
Jericho can play the four. Okay, don't be surprised if he sees a lot of minutes just for defensive purposes,
mm,
just to give Bencaro a different look. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Because he's a pretty good defender. He's pretty uh, agile. He's mobile. He's not. His feet are not in sand, or he's not running in mud. So
Yeah.
he's pretty. Of course, he's got to stop going for the pump fake. Oh, it drives
Yeah.
me nuts. But um, you could throw that at him just to give him. That's another 6 fouls we could use against him.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
different look. Yeah.
So
Do you guys think that Mitch came back too soon, being that he tweaked his ankle, or no? You were comfortable where he came back at the timeline of when he came back?
um,
No, I feel comfortable. I think it was just like a little freak thing. I mean, because he didn't step on anybody's, foot. That was just something, on his own doing. Um, and it could be just out of caution. I don't, why he's, didn't come back, and he just the rest. And again, I think it's just out of caution, but he didn't step on anyone's foot or anything. So I guess it was just the way he landed, kind of just awkward. But I don't think he came back. At least it didn't seem like he came back too soon.
I I don't think so either. I mean, I think the medical staff, they know what they're doing, and I think if he came back, and especially Mitch, they have to give him enough games and enough minutes to get in the to build the chemistry with. There's a lot of guys in that team he's never played with, so
Mhm.
you need, you can't just throw him in there game one of the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But um, listen, this is basketball, man. It's the NBA. Guys get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, if he couldn't be out there, they would not have put him out there. So if they can put him out there, you got to trust that. Okay, they did. He they have markers that they put in for him to. He hit this marker, he's good. He hit that, he's good. They keep going, and when you're ready to go, you go. Same thing with OG Ananobi.
Yeah.
He didn't come back too soon. Like, it flared up during the game, and that's, that could happen. You gotta expect it. And they're
Yeah.
being super cautious right now by keeping him out. But right now, honestly, I think he could probably play. Oh, and I wanted to say, go back to Julius, right? Um, lady, you mentioned that. Uh, so with the shoulder surgery, and I'm not, I'm just throwing this out there. So it's different from the ankle because the ankle, when he came this year, he wasn't uh in sync. He wasn't in rhythm because he couldn't work out. But with the shoulder, he could. There's a huge array of workout that he could do with
Yeah.
the shoulder while the shoulder's recovering. He can't take contacts, but there's a lot of things. Especially, it's not his shooting shoulder, so
Mhm.
there's a lot of things he could do. He could
Yeah. That's
run.
a
He
good
could,
point.
there's no contact, but he could do a lot of basketball prep
Hmm.
with the shoulder while the shoulder is healing or or rehabbing.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think of that. That's actually a really good point. Um, Pablo Demas, salute. I'm gonna get to your question, but I'm gonna lead it out too. So let's talk about who are your ideal matchups for the first round for the playoffs for the Knicks. I'll ask you both who are your ideal first round matchups.
Yeah, diva.
Well, for me, I would love Cleveland. I would like Cleveland because we seem to own Cleveland. To me, we're a better matchup, with Cleveland. Even with Randle out. Because again, you got Mitch, and I'm wondering, like, how would also, I don't mean to get up top, but how would like Tibbs like, with that roster, now that it's been deemed that Randle is out for the season. I mean, I guess he'll insert pressures, but just overall, I mean, my ideal matchup is Cleveland. Because we just are such a great matchup with them as far as just size. Because let's face the Knicks, they lack size. I mean, I think that's a lot of times why we, the games is, especially if they don't get up to a great start, it's like it's an uphill battle with them. But just matchup wise and just size, length, I think we're a better matchup with Cleveland. Orlando again, those guys they're tall, and they're athletic, they're young. So I would like for us to, see Cleveland if we could just, that I don't that mean we got to drop down, but again, we don't want to play in as well. So, you know, what we got 7 games left, we could just, move up. Or again, I don't like that play in for because it's you're like a one and done, practically. But I would definitely love Cleveland. But if not, I'll take Orlando. We can definitely match up great with them because as we mentioned, just with pressures in there, just Mitch the rebounder, even Hartenstein, um, and like Devo, hopefully you come out that slump. And shooters will shoot. So he will when it's playoff time. I have faith in him, but definitely Cleveland for me.
All right, so let me start by saying I know the popular thing, the right thing to say is, nah, we got to win every game we can, blah blah blah, whatever. Okay, you got to be strategic about it, right?
Mhm.
You see right now, you see how the brackets are. I'm gonna tell you, in my opinion, and you can't predict and you can't play towards certain things, and that's why the people who say you gotta just play the game wherever the chips fall where they may, right? Um, you see the way it is right now. What would be perfect for us if for us to swap with Miami, the way it is right now, put us exactly where Miami is,
Mm.
and every other team stay the same, and put Miami where we are.
So
Okay,
we're facing Cleveland.
so we would be the 6th seed. We would face Cleveland, right?
Mm.
After that series, you have Milwaukee against either the Sixers or the Pacers. Okay, um, that so that doesn't guarantee you anything. Of course, nothing guarantees you anything
Nothing's
because
guaranteed.
we might be the 4th seed and we beat up Boston. Just like Miami was the 8th seed last week. They beat up 1st seed, they beat up 2nd seed, they beat us up who were at 4th seed. They just beat up on everybody. So none of that matters. But looking at it right now on paper, will be like everything stay the same. Just we take Miami spot, Miami take our spot. And I would be very happy if that happens. We can't play towards that because you play towards that, you're gonna fall into play in. So that's why I kind of agree with the people who say you gotta win every game. You gotta be every game you play to win because you don't know what the other teams are doing, right?
Exactly.
Because you might,
Mm.
but unless if there's one game left and you losing that one game, drop you in a 6th seed, it's one game left. If that determines, then I'm all for being strategic and putting yourself where you want to be. But otherwise, I mean, with 7 games left, it's just too early. You just can't, you start messing around, you're gonna end up I mean, I don't think we can be 9th or 10th, but you definitely could be in a play-in, in the 7 or 8 spot. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you can't mess with that right now. So we have to win games, and let's see where we land. But if we land 6th and Miami lands 5th, right now we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I agree with the whole aspect of the Knicks need to take advantage of winning
Yeah.
as many games as they can for the remainder of the regular season, just because, like the both of you are saying, I don't think the Knicks can afford to go to a play in. And also because they had a really good, solid season this year. So it would be a shame for them to have to go to a play in just to try to fight their way into the playoffs. And I think
Mhm.
this team is still capable. as the Knicks are a very resilient team and they are able to crawl back and climb back into games against any team. I think the only team that really would give the Knicks a hard time right now is Boston. I think if the Knicks really lock in as a team and they are able to play together, guys are able to get to that ball movement, trust in their shots. We know what the Knicks can do defensively, but I think the energy has to be there. If all those different aspects are there, I think that the Knicks can be successful getting out of the first round and getting into the second round. Salute to Pablo Demas. He said, "Is this season a bust if we don't get out of the first round?" I don't think so, but I like to hear the panel's take.
Uh, I'm with you there, Pablo, because this season is not a bust. This season, right now, no matter how you cut it, how you slice it, it was a great season. Um, because we, for the second half of the season, we didn't have three star. We were out three starters. Somehow, we lingered around. I mean, we had a snip. We even looked at the third seed. We was there for like a split second, last week. So this season, no matter what happens, if we get eliminated, I would just hate to be eliminated by the Orlando Magic. But if that's what happens, you still had a good season
Right.
because you're still. I mean, you were wounded all season long. You know what I'm saying? And then the team kept changing. You bring in guys, you get rid of guys, you bring in guys. So you never had a chance to really get the whole unit, get the chemistry going. So you never had a chance to get that full team going. So I think it was a successful season no matter what at this point.
I agree. I mean, you know, throughout the season, they were injuries and all, they were able to persevere. Um, you know, we like you said, we had three starters out and they were still able to maintain, that seeding. Never fell below until they got to the fifth. So they were always able to like maintain and stay within the realm of what where they fell, which is like you said, at one point we got to the third. Um, so and this was something to build on. If it's not their year this year, then next year this is something that they can build on. If they bring back OG, and so forth, and these guys, they're gonna still have to clean house. Um, this they can work off of next season. I mean, it's not a bust, and hats off to them. They still competed. You know, put in the work, the effort. So I mean, I don't think so. This is just something for them to build off and come back, stronger and harder. They know what they have to do, and injuries, it's something you just are beyond your control. You could walk out your door and sprain your ankle. It's just something that happens. And
You could
wasn't
you,
like,
you could
you
roll
know,
out of bed and sprain your ankle.
exactly. So, and the Knicks were still able to, maintain and compete. So I mean, I don't think so. This was a great season overall, for them, considering all things considered, with the injuries. So again, this is just something to build off.
Yeah. I don't think the season will be a bust if the Knicks don't get out of the first round. Do I think it'll be disappointing if the Knicks don't get out of the first round? Absolutely. Especially if it's against a team like Cleveland or
Orlando.
Orlando. I think that will affect fans because we'll be like, come on, guys, you could have beat a team like that, versus if the first round is against a Milwaukee or it's Boston, or hell, even Miami. But I think if we go against like Indiana, Philly, even with a healthy Embiid who's back, the Knicks could still capable of beating teams like that, or your Clevelands, your Orlandos. But I think the season necessarily wouldn't be a bust. But I think if the Knicks got eliminated out of the first round against, an okay team or teams that we've proven we can beat throughout the season, I think that'll be more disappointing and affect us fans alike, where we'll be like, what happened? You know what I mean? Because I think the expectation, I think even with Randle being out and, we are going to get OG back, but I think even with the team enduring all these injuries, I think that this team has the organization, the Knicks organization has an expectation for this team to make it still to at least the second round. I don't think that they're looking at it like, oh, well, it'll be fine if we just make no. Like they've proven that they were able with what they were working with last year to get to the second round. So I think that the expectation is still pretty high, and I think that we have to stay optimistic and positive that this team will be able to get past, at the first round and definitely past the second round. So I think
Hmm.
the season was a great season, and Knicks somehow, like Ajay alluded to, and Diva they were able to hold on to be the top four team in the Eastern Conference, which is not easy to do. So I think that thank God for a player like Jalen Brunson because he carried a lot of the load. And we see when Brunson's not on the floor, Hartenstein's not on the floor, you see the difference in this team and where they need them to come back in the game. And I'm sure it's like that too. We also see it with OG not being in the game. So I don't think that it'll necessarily be a bust. I just think that it'll be disappointing if we lose against a team like Orlando, Cleveland, Indiana, or Philly in the first round when that's a team that we should take it to them and be able to get past. And I think the Knicks have a story to tell. They're the underdogs. I love them being the underdogs, and I think they have a story to tell this season. And just like Miami did last year, I believe the Knicks can do the same thing. So we'll see what happens.
And you mentioned they've been top four. Don't forget top three for about 24 hours.
Right.
All right. So
This is true. Salute Wonder Woman. She said, I think the key to the playoffs is Tibbs. He has to be willing to expand the rotation and his mindset. I agree with that. I think for me, one of the players who I think that Tibbs should give a little bit of time in the playoffs is Shake Milton. I think, like Bogdanovich and possibly Burks. I'll put an asterisk next to Burks, but definitely Bogdanovich. And I think Shake can be those X factors who can come in and make something happen for us where other guys can possibly be off. Whether that's Devo's off, maybe McBride is off, and those guys can come and fill those shoes and come in and give you 18, 20 points. They're more than capable. Come in and give you the steals, give you the blocks, come in and do the shake and do the other little intangibles that the Knicks need done to close out those games in a series and a playoffs. So I think that it's about Tibbs not sticking to his 8, 9 man rotation, which to me, I think depending on how he works out that rotation, it can be an Achilles heel for this Knicks team. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I feel like that can hurt us in the playoffs if Tibbs doesn't because he doesn't have trust in certain guys, but yet he's keeping in other guys who are off, and you're like, Tibbs, you should have brought in so and so. They could have possibly gave us a little something off the bench
mhm.
and lifted us over the hump and helped us to go over the hump. So I don't know, but I do agree with that Wonder Woman.
And to his credit, he has been doing that a little bit. Like he hasn't been as rigid and as stubborn as he's been in the past. And I alluded to that a couple of times on Dope Soul Sports Talk. Listen, I'm not in love with Tibbs like everybody else is, but when he does something right, I point it out. And I mean sometimes he pulls the wrong trigger or whatever, but in my opinion, what Bogdanovich, let him get some minutes. If don't
Hmm.
pull him out if he misses the first 3 or 4 shots because he's a shooter. That's what he does. Let
Yeah.
him get after you let him out, you leave him out there. He missed the first 3 shots, then he'll hit the next 8 easily. Like he can't do that. We've seen him. I mean, this guy's been in the league like 11 years or whatever. Like he's a super veteran. You
Yeah.
know, in that league. So we know what he can do. He's not all of a sudden he don't know how to shoot. I mean, he's been doing that for most of his adult life. So yeah, he definitely has to be flexible, like Wonder Woman said. He has to allow other guys to to chip in. You know,
Right.
I
Yeah.
agree definitely with Bogdanovich. I mean, that Miami game. I felt he definitely should have played him a little bit more. Josh Hart was off offensively. Josh Hart was so locked in, trying to lock down Jimmy that his offensive game was off. And I get it, we need that defense, but also, offense wins games as well. So,
Mhm.
and that's why Tibbs, and Bogdan, he was on. Like you said, he just don't shoot the three. He goes in and do that mid range. I mean, he had what 16. He could have possibly given us, who knows, another 10 points. So, again, Tibbs, yeah, I definitely feel like he has to, you trust your starters. You know what Hart and D want because you built that trust factor. He needs to, build trust with these other guys, because they can be, an asset for the team, definitely going forward. So, he definitely needs to, just, not be so, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, but but Ajay said he has been a little bit less regimented, but definitely he has to give these guys a shot. Even like Shake, Deuce, he contributed the last game, but the game prior to that he was off. So these are the guys that maybe see what they can do. Um, they do it in practice. And that's the only way they're gonna make that country if they do get those reps out on the floor. So I definitely feel like these guys can definitely, help the Knicks move forward.
And Diva, what you just said. While we were at the Miami game, I was watching the game and you know Queen Steph, shout out to Queen. She was at the game, and while she's at the game, I'm texting her as if she's not at the game, right? And and when they put they put pressures on, and after the game, of course, we communicated. I told the exact same thing. I said, listen, man, we need shooting. Why is Josh Hart on the floor?
Mhm.
Okay, I put Precious and Bogdanovich. Those are your two forwards, you know, and but I don't know. Some moves like that, see, he still pulls those moves, and that's why I say sometimes he doesn't pull the right trigger. He doesn't make the right move. He loves Josh Hart, but
Yeah.
sometimes you need him off the floor.
Yeah,
Yep.
You know what I'm
agreed.
saying? And that's one of we didn't
The
need rebound. We need
yeah,
shooting.
the pet peeve with Tibbs. It's like I get it. Josh Hart's the glue, when he's the little energizer buddy. But you gotta, as a coach, you gotta know when the play is off. Um, and
Or
it
causing
just
too many
like,
turnovers.
or,
yeah,
or, or his strengths, what the player. You listen, if we need shooting, you can't have the guy who's afraid to shoot the ball on the floor.
Right.
You can't have
yeah,
him.
because he was underneath that basket a few times, and he just didn't shoot. So, and again, as a coach, you gotta like pull this guy. Let him sit down and take a breather and observe from the bench. And that's what I sometimes the pet peeve with Tibbs is that he don't do that because you know it's the trust he's building with these guys because he know what they can do. But at the same time, that wasn't his night. Hart's
Right.
night, and I think he definitely should have gave Bogey some more minutes on
Hmm.
that floor.
Yep.
Yeah, Bogdanovich, and a lot of his shots that he make are tough baskets. They're not easy shots that he's making. But I do think that that is something that Tibbs is going to have to work on moving forward, even for the rest of the remainder of this regular season. I think Tibbs is going to have to work out, just like he used to eventually, little by little, give burn to McBride. You're going to have to do that with Shake because there's some nights where it may happen in a series. It can be one of the guys. It can be Brunson's off. Debo could be off. McBride may be off. So you need somebody else, one or two other guys. Bogdanovich, you can bring Shake and Precious. You need one of those guys. You got to give them a little bit more minutes instead of trying to play Hart and McBride 46 minutes, 48 minutes. If they're off, lessen the minutes down and say, okay, well, let me try him out and let me give him 10 minutes, spread it out throughout the game and he can do something while he's in there. You can't think 2, 4 minutes is going to cut it. So I think that's something that can also be the difference maker and can hurt the Knicks as well. And I just think, one of the questions I was going to ask, I know that the game is about to start, but with the team's inefficiencies and can those be corrected? Like I feel like with the the losing streak the Knicks have been on. It's been like the turnovers, the defense hasn't been as great. The Spurs had a lot of easy baskets. OKC, while it was a close game, it's just I think these are things that it's a combination of things that I think that are contributing to the Knicks not being able, the Knicks losing those last couple of games. And I think one of the main things is that Brunson doesn't have the help that he needs with a guy like Randle on the team, and we know that. And that's one of the things that concerns me going into the playoffs. If you have OG may go down to the bench and he's taking a breather, who else steps up and helps out with the scoring? We know it's supposed to be Dante DiVincenzo, but if it just so happens it's not his night and he's off, who else steps up? Because a lot of times when Brunson's not on that floor, the offense is very stagnant and the Knicks are not doing anything. So that's one of the concerns that I have is, can the Knicks move past those inefficiencies, which I believe they can, but on a consistent basis is more of the real question. And who steps up to help out with scoring, whereas Brunson doesn't have to feel like, well, I got to give you 50 tonight. I got to give you 45 tonight just because there's no one else that's really helping out offensively.
So I want to address a comment here from Pablo. I don't know if you could highlight it. He said it'll be a disappointment. I guess he's talking about the season. But he says, but we saw the emergence of Deuce and Precious, not just Deuce and Precious. We saw the emergence of Isaiah Hartenstein.
Yeah.
We saw the emergence of Dante DiVincenzo. And we saw the emergence of Jalen Brunson, who now is a bona fide superstar. Like all those guys gotten better, so much better this year. And let's not forget, Julius Randle at the beginning of the season, he was having a monster season before he went down. And so was Julius Randle. Julius Randle started slow, but he caught up so much, so fast that he was named into the All-Star team. So everybody, we saw a lot of people play their best basketball this season in the New York Knicks uniform. So not just those two guys. I just want to point that out.
I agree.
So
yeah, we're gonna need for those guys to tap into that because it's gonna be needed.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
Deuce is definitely come along. He's coming into his own. There is a lapse in when Brunson do go to the bench. And it's unfortunate. It's a heavy load for Deuce, but this is something that he's like he said, I've been waiting for this, and I've been built for this. So he definitely is gonna have to step in when Brunson goes to the bench. Unfortunately, this is what he's that contract was for, and he studied. He studied on, like you say, he's a student of the game. I think he just continue just need to shoot and have that positive mindset and just you know um just play. He's come a long way, and he just has to just continue that. And he can definitely step in for when Brunson go in, go to the bench. So I definitely feel that would be a moment for him to you know to pick up that slack.
The thing with that Diva is the plan was right because Deuce McBride, we all know he's a small guard, but he's actually a shooting guard in a point guard body. He's a better shooting guard than he's a point guard. So the plan was for Alec Burks to pick up a lot of that ball handling in that second unit. He's not being valuable out there, Alec Burks. So we have to fall back on Deuce to play make. And it somewhat, because a lot of time if Deuce is on the floor and DiVincenzo's on the floor, DiVincenzo's keep bringing up the ball. I don't know if you guys noticed that, or even Josh Hart's bringing up the ball, because the plan was never for Deuce to bring up the ball. But Alec Burks is not working, so we have to fall back on that as Plan B. So this is why we've been so terrible. We've been outscored. Those non-Jalen Brunson minutes, we've been outscored consistently. One game, I think the Spurs game, we're outscored by 24
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the few minutes that Brunson sat on the bench. I mean, look at the OKC game. He sat on the bench. We're up by 10.
And we blew
Literally in
the lead.
60 seconds, we we're only up by 3 points because
Yeah.
Brunson was on the bench. So listen, we know what we got to fix in the off season at least, right?
For
Yeah,
sure.
that's definitely something they have to get a stronger ball handler, a backup ball handler,
Yeah,
a point guard to Brunson,
yeah.
because the Knicks don't have that, and he shouldn't have to be playing damn near the whole game, always bringing up the ball. I remember Queen used to say that when we had Grime, she was like, Brunson shouldn't always have to bring up the ball. You need someone else to take that load and can set him up, and throw him the ball sometimes, and he can get his shot off a drive to the basket. Um, but yeah, I agree, Pablo. The Knicks did lose that OKC game at the free throw line, and that's part of what I mean by the inefficiencies. That falls under that as well. The Knicks have been horrible from the free throw line as of late. It's something that's been a struggle for them, and they did a great job getting in the points in the paint. But I think once we get to the free throw lines, most games we don't get there enough because we don't have enough guys who's driving to the paint and drawing a foul, stopping the clock. And then when we do get to the free throw line, the Knicks aren't knocking down the free throws, or we're going 1 for 2. So I think these are things that the Knicks are going to have to really clean up. And, we're not asking for perfection, but we need the game to be cleaned up on the offensive end and the defensive end, as well as the energy. The Knicks play Sacramento tonight. Sacramento pretty much has the same record as the Knicks, but out in the West, we've already beat them already. Keys really quickly for this game, and then we'll let everybody go.
Oh,
I'm here.
um, well, like although we beat them, they won their last two, but prior to that, they lost two. Um, so we know uh the Knicks. And I just want to tap on something. And now OKC, that last play, Deuce, why was he on Shea 6'6" versus 6'2"? So we also lack size too. I just want
Mhm.
to just point that out. We Harden with his size 6'4", but with the Sacramento game, you know they play that physical game, guard the perimeter, watch your turnovers. Those has been creeping back up. There's a lot of things. Hit your free throws. They've been dismal at the free throw line. Although we're not getting the calls like we should, but you just got to just continue to play your game. Sabonis, he's going to definitely, limit him. Don't let him come and get no double double. Make him take those tough shots. But I have them winning this game.
I it it's definitely a winnable game. Like I said, we have enough. We have enough to play. Most teams in the NBA. I don't care what their record is. So and we're playing at home. We're playing at home, right, against Sac. Yeah, we're at home against Sacramento. So, yeah, I expect us to win this game. And who's that said? Who's that? Pablo said that we lost that OKC game at the free throw line. I don't
Yeah.
think so, and I disagree with you, Lady and the Chef. And the simple reason is Sacramento missed more free throws than we did. So if we hit our free throws, they hit our free throws, we'd be in the same position again. Okay, um, because we lost by 1 point, and Sacramento, like I think they missed like maybe three more free throws than we did. Than we missed. They were terrible at the foul line, so that kind of balanced that out. The fact that we miss free throws, they miss free throws. And a lot of people don't like to point to the refs. I have no problem pointing to the refs when they mess it up. I don't care. Listen, I don't work for ESPN. They're afraid to say that. Listen, the refs messed that up. Okay. And it's not just that last call. It's like throughout the game. Like throughout the
Yes.
game, they do that. People are looking at that last call, whether that was a call. No, you got to look at the entire game. They consistently were not calling fouls against those guys. You know, um, so we miss free throws, they miss free throws. That balanced that out. So the rest, we back on the same level playing. You know, but tonight, hopefully, we can pull it off. I think we will. I feel like we will pull it off. We have enough to pull it off. So, um, I expect us to come out with a dub, and I expect us to win every day, every game. You know that.
Same
I
here,
expect to
AJ.
win every game.
I
So
think the free throws are can make the a difference maker though, and the difference in points. If you miss 11, 12 free throws, that's 11, 12 points you could have had that can end up hurting you at the end of the day. Um, so, I just think that that's something that it does hurt the Knicks to some degree, as far as when the Knicks are not knocking down the free throws that they should be knocking down. But a game like tonight, I think that I actually no, I wanted to piggyback off of I was listening to I don't know if it was SNY, but they were saying how the refs are owned in on a player like Brunson because they compare his play, not saying his playing styles exactly to the other two, but the kind of moves that Brunson makes. They said it's very reminiscent of like a player style like a Trey Young or James Harden, and the refs don't feel like that's NBA style of play. It's more street ball, Euro style, and that's stopping and making guys. They know that a player like Brunson, he draws the fouls to him. So the refs are looking at players like him, Trey Young, James Harden as an example, as the refs are like, I'm not calling that a foul because you're digging your way into the offense and drawing it, which is not true. We see the way Brunson plays. It's not just because we're Knicks fans, but I just think that's unfortunate that the refs won't make those calls, and especially because the Knicks are a very aggressive playing team. You know,
Physical.
yeah, very physical. I don't know if do we get the calls when we're only home, and then when we're on the road we don't get it. It's just I agree with you, Aj, on that. I don't like the way the refs are not calling the calls for the Knicks and for Jalen Brunson, but we got to keep playing through it. And I think Tibbs got a fine because he mentioned it like 7 times in his last press conference. So Ian Begley said, I wasn't counting, but I was counting. He said, yeah, he said they're definitely going to fine him. He said, because he was trying to go around saying it, but he had to say it. He said, and I don't blame him. He said the Knicks aren't getting the calls that they should be getting. So,
the game started, by the way, halfway
yeah,
through the first quarter. I know we're all in it, dude. Like
here,
deep
here
into
come
the conversation here.
here come
So,
Parrish.
Paris, we getting ready to get out of here, man, to go watch the game.
I knew he was gonna have something to say. He said, "Well, I hate to say I told everyone Randle was too injured. No harm him trying, though." I agree. He tried.
All right.
Salute
Yeah.
to the chat, everybody. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you Saturday morning. And I'll be on with Ajay on Monday. And Ajay, I think you guys are gonna go on tomorrow, right?
No, there's a game tomorrow, so we going on
Oh,
Saturday. We going on Saturday. Everybody,
oh,
Dope Soul Sports Talk. Over, most of you guys already know the channel. You already subscribe, but make sure you turn on your notification. That way, I don't know what time Saturday, but as soon as the show starts, you get notification. You can jump on.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay,
tune in.
cool.
All right.
Yep.
All
All
right,
right. Thanks for
everybody.
having me. Two Knicks
Of
chick.
course.
It's surprising. I'm saying,
Come on again. We enjoyed talking with you. It
For
was
All
sure.
great.
right.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah. Good
Salute.
night. Enjoy the game. All right.
All
You
right.
too.
You too.
Peace out, everybody.
Hey.